There we go.
How is this? Is this work?
We're only 18. We're only 18 months into the pandemic. We're gonna figure it out eventually.
That's right.
All right, folks. Welcome to the live version of Bourbon Heritage Month with a couple of drinks to the Clark special guest, Joann Street, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Hello. Thank you.
The crowd loves you. So thank you so much for joining us. We are in the process, as you know, of redoing our basement to be our studio. This is our a portion of our studio. So
the Wild Turkey Tribute.
This is, yes. So
to be honest, it looks better than my back bar at home, I feel like. So you all are doing something right.
Well, truth be told, I've been doing this for approximately 25 years. So I've accumulated some stuff and some new stuff. So don't hate the player, hate the game. So tonight we just want to say thank you so much to you. Now you are the Wild Turkey Portfolio Brand Ambassador,
Nice.
or just Portfolio Ambassador.
Portfolio Ambassador.
Yes. It's all one and the same.
Gotcha. Semantics, basically. So you are based in New York, but you're originally from Kentucky. Is that what I'm understanding?
I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee. Born and raised.
Gotcha.
But my grandfather always likes to joke that I got away from that Tennessee whiskey and made my way to the right place in Kentucky before I made my way up to New York.
We appreciate that.
Nice.
And listen, I'm sure that just hearing different stories over the years, Jimmy is quite the character.
He is, it's kind of funny, a lot of people don't know this, but he's rather quiet at home. My grandmother is definitely the one in charge at home, and I never really saw the side of him that I do in this industry until I started working here, and he's a completely different person. I mean, I've never seen him talk that much before. The way that people love him and the way he interacts with people, it was a really nice, different side of him that I never seen, and it's exciting to still get to see that, even though, he's 80 plus years old and, only a merely 68 years in the industry.
It's amazing.
Well, I've never met your grandfather, and just hearing the stories, I love him. He seems so awesome.
So we actually are in the process of booking a trip in a couple of weeks to go to Kentucky. So hopefully he's around when we get down there. If he's around the distillery, love to meet him type thing.
So awesome. What an honor.
So tonight we are talking all things Wild Turkey, hence the thing up there. So tonight we want to talk about, will you do the honors of grabbing the bottle?
Yes, I know exactly which one to get.
She knows which one to get, which is nice.
I'm not sure if I wore the appropriate pants for this.
Well, at least it's not those sweatpants that say juicy.
I sometimes have to remind myself that yes, we're still kind of moderating a post-COVID world, but it's like, am I wearing jeans or am I still wearing sweatpants?
Right.
Whenever I
what
stand
pants
up
do I have on?
in a video.
This is what we're doing.
You got to show the label, sweetheart. There you go.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? Oh,
you got to show it to the camera.
that one.
There you go. This is Kentucky Spirit, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't want to steal Joann's thunder. So would you tell us a little bit about Kentucky Spirit?
Sure. So please.
We're going to drink it while you're talking. Is that okay?
Oh, that's more than okay. Please ignore all of the noise in the background. I do live in New York City, and I happen to be out working this evening at one of my favorite whiskey bars in Brooklyn.
Beautiful.
So if you all have ever been to the Richardson before in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, it's one of my favorites. They carry lots of wild turkey. They also have some really great barrel picks here too. And I happen to be enjoying a Kentucky Spirit Old Fashioned right now.
Beautiful.
A lot of people might think Why would you ever put a single barrel in a cocktail? It's okay sometimes, not all the time, but it's okay.
Right. Yep.
But this Kentucky Spirit is a true hidden gem in our portfolio. You know, this is the closest thing that you can get to old school wild turkey. This is originally came out in 1994. I love telling this story because it is truly just the essence of, you know, why our industry is the way we are. But, you know, Jimmy was really good friends with Booker No and Elmer T. Lee and all of those guys.
Cool.
And you really start to see our portfolio expand in like the 80s and in the early 90s. And Booker and Jimmy were definitely talking some crap to each other. And we see Blanton's come out in 1984. And the company was definitely making a push at that time to start expanding outside of maybe your wild turkeys, your American honeys, your rare breeds. And so Jimmy took that. He listened, but he listened in his own stubborn way. And he pretty much took an 8-year-old Wild Turkey 101 and made it a single barrel. So I always like to call Kentucky Spirit. I call Kentucky Spirit, it's Wild Turkey 101 with a tuxedo on. This is an 8.5-year-old, 101 proof, single barrel bourbon. You might know it from, you know, the 90s or even in the past few years. It had a really beautiful turkey kind of feather shaped bottle.
Oh yeah, that was the.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I remember
So
that.
you noticed it on the back bar. It recently got a label change in the past few years, so it does reflect, you know, kind of the premiumization that we're trying to, you know, change the minds of those who look at wild turkey in a different light. But this for me is really the most overlooked product in our portfolio, especially when it comes to single barrels and the most delicious stuff that we put out. So if you all do have a bottle at home with you, you can look at the label. It'll tell you exactly when it was bottled, what warehouse it came from. Yeah, it tells you all of that information, which is really kind of fun because as we become, you know, a little bit more nerdy in the industry, we all have a favorite warehouse, right? So some of my favorite Kentucky Spirit warehouses are like Warehouse S, Warehouse K occasionally because they do tend to be a little bit sweeter. But yeah, it tells you all the information on that bottle. So if you really enjoy that Kentucky Spirit, maybe you go to another liquor store and you find like a specific Kentucky Spirit barrel pick. And maybe it tastes very similar. It has those flavor profiles that you're looking for. But this Kentucky Spirit is gonna maintain those characteristics of the Wild Turkey 101. You're gonna have some spice and some vanilla, but this is gonna be very unique because it brings kind of like a citrus, sweeter, forward note to it, and that's why I love it in an old fashioned. I think the bitters and the simple syrup really complement it very nicely, but I was definitely enjoying some Kentucky Spirit neat earlier today on one of my other calls.
That's awesome.
Wow, that is so good.
So we had a meeting which you were on, and you took us through this presentation, which I will say this, I didn't know about the mash bills. I didn't know that was one mash bill throughout every single product for the bourbons, and then one specific mash bill for the rye. And the fact that you guys can, it speaks a lot to how talented Jimmy and Eddie are to create these different products with the same recipe. It blows my mind that's the way that is. You have some other places that are doing, well, we got like 10% of this extra and 10 of this and 10 of that. But you guys have the same exact non-GMO grains going into the mash bills, which is it blows my mind. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and I think that also attests to, you know, I don't think there's any bad bourbon out there. Of course, I love when people enjoy wild turkey. I'm very happy, but a lot of people don't realize in Kentucky it's not very competitive. At the end of the day, as long as you find a bourbon that you enjoy and you love, that's all that really matters. It doesn't matter if it's Wild Turkey or if it's Jim Beam or Four Roses or Maker's Mark. We're all really kind of like a close-knit family. But one thing that really makes us kind of stand apart from some of those other brands is we do have one bourbon mash bill. So that means whether you're drinking Wild Turkey 101 Russell's Reserve 10-year bourbon, rare breed, or this Kentucky Spirit, it is all coming from the same mash bill. But the beauty of what a distiller and a blender does is taking that same mash bill and taking barrels from different parts of the warehouse, different ages, blending them together, commingling them together, or in this instance, when we're talking about Kentucky Spirit, finding that perfect barrel that meets those, what we would consider, requirements or taste profiles that makes a Kentucky Spirit a Kentucky Spirit. So for example, Kentucky Spirit is about 8.5 years old. When we look at the barrel maturation process, in between that kind of like 6 to 8 to 10 years old, what's happening inside that barrel is a lot of those kind of fruitier flavor profiles from the toast and the char of the wood mingling with the mash bill and the distillate inside of that barrel are really starting to come to life. So you might get things like sometimes we associate dried fruit or stone fruit with whiskey. For me, I get a lot of like citrus and a little bit of sweetness in this profile because it is sitting right around that 8.5-year-old age range.
I do taste that citrus in it. I do. Yep, I do.
One of my favorite ways to enjoy this too is for the longest time, if you take an orange and you throw it in the freezer for a little bit and then just drop it into Kentucky Spirit neat, it's really delicious. Even expressing like an orange peel, over the Kentucky Spirit neat or even on a rock, it really helps to kind of heighten those citrus flavors that you see in this product.
That's a great idea.
So tonight we always, when we do our live shows, we always taste the product neat, which it's beyond great.
It's wonderful.
Also too, we make a cocktail. So through the magic of television, we're going to make a cocktail. I just have to grab one product. Hang on. Everything, listen, that's the best part about doing this whole new set is everything's right there.
I'm like, you have everything we need.
So we are going to do, you can't really see us just because we didn't really think this out. But anyway.
We're not very good thinkers, apparently.
So we are going to make the paper airplane.
All right. This is right from the Wild Turkey website.
This is one of the cocktails on the website, but it's a classic, and it involves a lot of products that Campari handles. So,
funny enough, I don't know if you know this, but this is actually maybe like my top 2 favorite cocktails.
Beautiful.
Really?
Yeah.
What are the chances?
I know, right? Mind reader.
So, we are doing,
and
we're going to do the Amaro.
Okay.
Yeah, so a paper plane is a really delicious, like, it's a little boozy because you do have Amaro,
A lot of booze.
bourbon, Amaro, bourbon, Aperol, and then, of course, some lime juice. So it is a little boozy, but it's refreshing and delicious. And for me, it's like a really, really great, just like hot afternoon, summertime into fall cocktail, refreshing, citrusy forward. Even if you're not a bourbon drinker, you can definitely enjoy a paper plane.
Yeah, and I have the travel size Aperol, and I also have the big Aperol.
And I've never had that. I don't think I've ever had this. What is this?
It's Amaro. It is a bitter liqueur.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so Averna is an Amaro that we also have in our portfolio. But it's gonna have the bitterness that kind of evens out and mellows out the sweetness from the lime juice and the Aperol.
Okay. Nice.
So, for example, Aperol is also a bitter, but whenever we look at like the bitter scale, Aperol is kind of the sweetest bitter out there, where Averna is going to be kind of in the middle to the higher tier of bitter. So it kind of balances out very nicely.
Nice.
So I've never had a paper airplane, so here we go.
Neither am I. I can't wait.
So now here's the scary part for my wife.
Oh, this thing is I don't like it. You better make sure the top is on.
Listen, so we of course you go online and you see all these advertisements. It's almost like driving down the interstate and you get, hoodwinked and all these weird things. This thing is awesome. This is called the Elevated Craft Cocktail Shaker. Check this out.
Oh my God. I swear it's going to come flying off someday.
So somebody actually was thinking. So as an old bartender, we even have shows from Cocktails at 8 that we used to do, where I would actually get the metal shaker stuck. I couldn't get it open just because of the vacuum. Well, this thing, somebody was thinking smart, and it's got basically like it screws in on the cap and on the strainer portion. So you can just do this all the time. And it's insulated so it doesn't freeze your hands. So you can just do this like for 20 minutes if you wanted.
Joann, I swear one of these times this thing is going to come flying off this.
Actually, our blender top almost doused us the other night.
I was gonna give him a little. I was gonna give him a little trick of the trade because I personally also did not. I've never been like a professional bartender or bartended, but I've learned a lot at home. You're supposed to always shake away from you, like the top away from you, just in case it does come off. But I don't know if that would benefit her. So maybe just keep shaking towards yourself.
It's all about me.
He always shakes away from him, but it has to be pointing towards me.
Just make sure he shakes towards him now, just in case.
Exactly.
Listen,
Thank you for the support.
It'll never ever come off. Trust me.
So
here we go.
All right. Cheers to you. Thank you, Joann. Thank you. Cheers. Cheers of you.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That here's the thing.
I can see why you love this one. Oh my gosh.
It's cool because you can taste the Averna.
Yes.
You can taste the Aperol. It's beautiful. It's one of those almost layered cocktail flavor profile.
And the bourbon is so smooth. Oh, it's so good.
You have to be careful with that one. Like I said, especially if you're using high proof whiskey. It is one to be enjoyed.
Wow, so good.
That's truly amazing. I think I'll think we'll have those more often.
I know we will.
So basically we also did a show commemorating Jimmy's 67th year at Wild Turkey a few weeks ago. Now, if it wasn't for your grandmother, he wouldn't be working there. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. It's funny. I was actually doing a class earlier and I had some people asking like, oh, what is it like to be the first female in the family to work for the brand? And it's always fun to say that my grandmother is actually the reason that we're all here. So Granny Jo is what we call her, Jimmy's wife. She was working at the distillery as the secretary. And I think she had her eye on Jimmy for a little while, and he initially wanted to be a professional baseball player, but they started dating, and she said, it's time for you to get a job. I can get you a job here at the distillery, and that she did, and the rest is kind of history. He started working in the sensory lab, and here we are almost 6 decades later. He's still working at Wild Turkey, definitely sticking around to make sure we don't ruin anything, ruin the legacy that he's built. Between myself, my uncle, and my cousin. But he was at the distillery today. He was hanging out. But yeah, I'm actually the second female in my family, not the first.
That's awesome.
Good for you.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I love that.
It's a great story. It really is.
It's a great story.
So basically, you ladies, it's all your fault.
It's all my fault that you men are successful. Yeah, sorry about that.
You are so correct. You are so correct.
That is amazing.
That's awesome. So now the story goes, as far as I've heard, is when now your cousin Eddie's son is
Bruce,
doing something. Is it Josh?
Bruce.
Oh, Bruce. I'm sorry. See, I totally missed that one. So the story, from what I understand, is when he started working. He started working with Wild Turkey. That your grandfather gave him like his notebook.
Yeah, so back in the 50s, so Jimmy started working on September 10th of 1954. And back then, you didn't really hand out your mash bill or anything like we do today. Today it's a little bit different. I could go out, giving you my mash bill recipe, but you're probably not going to have the same yeast strain. You're probably not going to be able to consistently make whiskey the same way that we do at Wild Turkey because of, there's so many factors that go into it. The fermentation batch size, the percentage of grains, the amount of water, the type of water, the type of still that we use. But when Jimmy started back in 1954, right, if someone else got a hold of your recipe and made it better than you did, you're in a lot of trouble.
Right.
So he actually he has a notebook of these handwritten notes. And funny enough, he showed me a few weeks ago that my mom actually drew in this handwritten notebook that my grandfather has of, the mash bill, the percentages of grain, the amount of water, why we let it ferment for so long. And he has that at home with him. And we always like to joke around, Jimmy came in, he started in the sensory lab, right, with the master distiller. Eddie came in, he was working in the warehouse, pushing around 500-pound barrels, doing some of the hardest labor that our distillery does. These are 500-pound barrels, and they're some of the hardest workers at our distillery. He spent a majority of his career there, and then Bruce and myself came in, and the company was like, hey, here's some money. Go travel the United States, talk about Wild Turkey, live the good life, enjoy great cocktails and great food. So it's always fun to joke around that, Eddie had to put in some work, but I think us grandkids definitely got a little bit more love than he did.
It happens all the time.
Oh, awesome stories.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's really cool. That's what's great. The family aspect of Wild Turkey is the fact that you trace everything back to Jimmy, but Eddie's also involved, and Bruce and yourself.
Yeah.
It's really cool that on this scale, you guys are still family. Family values. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a lot of tough love in there.
Sure.
Love.
Yeah. Well,
but
all good things have tough love.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's challenged me in new ways that I never thought it would, and it's given me an opportunity to grow closer with my family. Like I said, Jimmy was very kind of quiet at home, and I don't think I ever heard him say more than 30 words. And then I went to the distillery, and I was like, "You talk?" Like, it's the same. It's the same way with Eddie too. Eddie's probably the quietest of all of us, but you get him in front of a group of people, and he doesn't stop, especially when you get him talking about things that he's super passionate about. And then Bruce and I will just talk for hours, even if it's to a brick wall. So
that's awesome.
Sorry.
That's awesome.
Story of my life.
Yeah. Talking to a brick wall. Oh wow.
Oh,
I think they call that selective hearing.
That's exactly.
Something to that effect.
Yeah, something. Oh my goodness. I'm enjoying this neat. I'm drinking yours because this is really
I did all the cocktailing and you're drinking my booze.
It's so good.
So when we first started doing this, Joann, it was when everything was locked down. We did 55 shows in a row every night.
Oh.
And she didn't necessarily have the bourbon palate, if you know what I mean.
I can honestly tell you, I had never had a sip of bourbon ever.
Neat.
In my life. Yeah. Neat. Until
we started doing the shows.
These shows. And now it's either bourbon or wine. Now, I don't even go to anything else anymore. It's mostly bourbon. Yeah.
That's why we have all this other stuff over here. You're not seeing the other sides, but it's full of vodka and stuff. So we don't touch that unless
bourbon.
Family comes over. But yeah,
I won't spill my dirty secrets either. So we can keep it. We'll keep it in the safe circle.
Yeah, she's really come around as far as being able to just try things neat, even some of the higher, even like barrel proof stuff. She's God bless her. That's my girl.
I got something right.
You know, that's really amazing though, because we were talking about this earlier, and I got a question. It was, what's it like being the only female in your family that works at the distillery right now? And it's really exciting because even when I worked at the distillery, at the visitor center, sometimes I would get women that came in with their spouses or whatever, and I'd be like, oh, I don't really drink bourbon. But I think that's the beautiful thing about who we are as a brand is there really is something in our portfolio for everyone, whether you're not a bourbon drinker and you maybe gravitate a little bit more towards American honey, or you maybe enjoy like a Russell's 10 that's a little bit lower proof, or you really love a rare breed, neat on the rocks, or in a good Boulevardier from time to time. I think that's something that we take a lot of pride in, and I take a lot of pride in as a female in this industry is knowing that it is an acquired taste, and the more you enjoy it and the more you get to sample it and taste it, as we're responsible adults and we responsibly taste it and enjoy it, and
Right.
not
Absolutely.
always
Right.
have the fun with it.
And
You get a
I
new
do
appreciation for it.
absolutely. I do think what my husband made me do, which makes me appreciate it a little bit more, is every time we mixed a drink, he would make me taste it neat first. And I'm so glad he did that because now when I taste a bourbon, I can actually taste all the notes that you talk about, whether it be caramel or sweet or vanilla or citrus, compared to, if you're tasting the oak or the cinnamon or it's just it's definitely different as
I
far as
gotcha.
that goes.
I
Yeah,
gotcha.
you got me. Yeah.
Finally, took a pandemic.
And everyone tastes a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I could tell you I taste one thing and you could be like, you're crazy. I've never tasted that in bourbon before. But that's I
Right.
like to plug in there sometimes. Us females do have a few more taste buds in
They
our
do.
palate than
You
they
do.
do.
We do.
Females have a better palate. My buddy Forrest told us all about it. And coming
Why
from
is that?
I don't know. I forget. Forrest. I love Forrest. He told me once. I forgot. Probably because we were drinking. But anyway, coming from doing a lot in the wine industry, the whole thing about tasting different things within a product is really what a person has experienced in their life. If you've only eaten chicken and potato and broccoli, you're not going to get the subtle nuances from wine or even spirits with just your limited range of what you've experienced in your life. So the more you have experiences you have, I think the better palate you have. So just me.
Absolutely. I mean, to be very honest with you, I did not grow like before I entered this world, I didn't know what good vegetables taste like because I was just never a vegetable eater. But I soon realized,
Right.
if everything is cooked properly or seasoned properly, I mean, I have not had a bad meal since. Like I went home and my mom was like, "You eat asparagus now? Are you okay?" Because I never ate that growing up. But it's kind of like whiskey and wine and spirits in general. The more you taste it, the more you enjoy it. Even if it's a sip here or there, you start to build a palate, and then you start to, add a drop of water here or there, and you can tell that the flavor profile just doesn't drastically change, but maybe you bring out a different flavor in that flavor wheel of spirits that we get to look at, whether it be, maybe something that's oaky, or maybe that's something that's like a dried red berry, or something that's like a Twix bar tasting. There's so many different things, like fig or whatever. There are so many different things that you can taste. But if you're like you said, if you grew up eating these three things, it's going to be a little bit, you just have to be patient and continue to taste. Like at first it might be really hot on the palate. It might be, what we consider like the alcohol burn, but add a little bit of water to it and then slowly add less water to it and enjoy it in different ways, whether that be in a cocktail, on the rocks, A
Exactly. Drink it the way you like it. That's what we always say.
Absolutely.
Just drink it. Drink it the way you like it. Just drink it and drink it responsibly.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
I've talked about this before. We've had different marketing people over the years. You know, this is for the demographic from 35 to 47, and you know, this is only for millennials. And my buddy Larry Morris taught me something years and years ago. This is for people who are legal drinking age to dead. So it doesn't matter. We don't care if you put it on your ice cream or on your salad. Doesn't
I've
matter.
had it on my ice cream. It's good.
But it's just,
I am not above a little American honey on top of some vanilla ice cream.
I 100% agree.
I tell you, I love American honey sours. Those things are.
Oh,
you don't need simple syrup. You just let it rip, you know.
Or it depends on the day. But a little American honey on your pancakes. I guess it depends on the type of week you're having.
Ooh, pancakes.
I like it.
I cannot tell you how many American honey sours I had him make me sitting out back on the porch this summer. I was like, oh, please just make me one.
That's why it's not back behind us.
I may have drank it all.
Yes, exactly. Well, listen, we don't want to keep you any longer. We truly appreciate it.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for having me. This has been as much fun as like all the sessions that I've watched in the past.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
If you all ever have any questions about Wild Turkey, please follow me on social media. It's at Joann Street. I'm here to answer all your questions. This has been really a wonderful time, and I'm just happy to be able to talk whiskey at one of my favorite places.
Awesome. Yeah. We like I said, we truly appreciate you coming on, and we love the fact that the family is continuing to do what they do, and we will be down there in
we're leaving October 11th.
Yeah,
we're heading to Kentucky.
So we gotta have our buddy Brian hook us up at the distillery for a tour.
Yep.
And hang out and stuff. So
thank you. We appreciate you.
Joann, thank you so much. And listen, this is one of our things. Cheers, love you. Cheers, love you.
Cheers, love you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you so much again. Have a great night.
Bye.
Cheers, everybody.
Are we still on?
For